today with an interview with Anita Doupnik. She is FHIMA's past president for the years 2014-2015. She's also a member of AHIMA IG's team. So Anita, why is information governance important to healthcare and to cybersecurity?
Well, Linda, first of all, thanks so much for allowing me to speak today about cybersecurity and the role of information governance in our healthcare system today. And Linda, as you know, the Cybersecurity Act of 2015 provided a much needed opportunity to convene public and private sector stakeholders to talk about and develop recommendations with some of these subject matter experts on the growing challenges of cyber attacks in our healthcare system today. As a result of this task force and along with the much needed support of the Department of Health and Human Services, the Department of Homeland Security, and the National Institute of Standards and Technology, there was a report developed. It's a wonderful resource, and it's called the Report on Improving Cybersecurity in the Healthcare Industry. It was released in June of this year, and as you can see on the screen here, we have a reference, and I would highly recommend that HIM professionals and all information governance stakeholders take a look at this report. But what I'd like to briefly talk about is critical imperative number 1. So there were 6 imperatives, and the very first one talked about defining and streamlining leadership, governance, and expectations for the healthcare industry in regards to cybersecurity. This first imperative talks about how healthcare security and cyber risks have typically fallen to the information technology folks. Information governance, as we all know, is a relatively new concept in the healthcare industry. And really, the report emphasizes that it should not include just IT and security stakeholders, but also information stakeholders. So they emphasize that governance and information governance really shifts the focus from technology to people, processes, and the policies that are used to generate and manage the data and information required for really high quality patient care and good informed business decisions. So just as we heard from the professionals that you interviewed, we're well aware of our complex infrastructures that exist in our healthcare systems today. We heard that oftentimes our systems are a mixture of critical environments along with legacy systems that unfortunately can be unsupported with older operating systems or networking protocols.
And you know, that's what happened with this latest NotPetya cyber attack. They released a patch. Microsoft released a patch for the first one that happened back in May 2017, but many system operators did not update the patch. So when the NotPetya came out in June 27th of 2017, it had no kill switch on it, and it just went around the globe.
Exactly, and interestingly, we heard in one of your interviews that it took precious time for that healthcare system to really tell how far-reaching that cyber attack was, due to a complex network of interfaced and integrated systems, which we're all very familiar with. So I really believe that the foundational principles of our HIM profession are even more important in this environment of cybersecurity attacks. Our mission as HIM professionals of ensuring the accuracy, the trustworthiness, the timeliness, reliability, and usefulness of data, regardless of the medium or format that the information is stored or needs to be accessed from. All of that is critically important for reducing costs, improving patient care, and certainly now more than ever, information governance must play a role in our ability to really attain that mission.
Yes, and you know, Tanya Keenest in her interview, her first and foremost that she was trying to get her arms around, first and foremost, was patient safety. She stressed that because sometimes we think in business terms only, you know, our business processes, but her first and foremost thing was how is this impacting the system that she managed, plus the other ones that were kind of integrated into the system that she managed. and how is that impacting or not patient safety. So that was her first goal, and I think we need to start thinking about that when we're looking at our business processes and how it can affect patient safety, especially in a cyber attack situation where it could take down one system or multiple systems.
Absolutely.
So Anita, how does an organization get started with information governance, specifically to address cybersecurity concerns?
Well, that's a great question also, Linda, but I want to take a moment and mention that Fhima has been working for the past 4 to 5 years on providing the entire healthcare industry with a plethora of IG resources, tools, and trainings to assist all healthcare information stakeholders to get started with IG initiatives, IG projects, and programs. And all of this information can be found at igiq.com. So in regards to your question of how does an organization get started or perhaps progress some of their current IG initiatives, this is going to be answered differently for each organization. And the reason for that is because IG really is a culture shift. It really is forces us to think about how to use information as a strategic asset for improving care, for reducing costs, and certainly to help improve the health of populations. So I believe that another very important approach to information governance is it needs to be embraced by all leaders, and there has to be an understanding of the entire workforce. And we'll talk about how that's important, especially when it comes to cybersecurity and cybersecurity attacks. So I believe, to answer your question, that a great place to start is to do an assessment, to find out where your areas of opportunity may lie, and where your current state of IG maturity is before an organization gets started on their IG journey. So doing an assessment is a great starting point. So for that reason, Fhima developed an overarching information governance organizational framework. And this framework is really important for managing information throughout its life cycle, to support an organization's strategy, mission, their operations, regulatory, legal, risk, and environmental requirements. This framework is called the Information Governance Adoption Model, or IGAM as we refer to it as, and it really uses leading practices in information governance and is delivered through a tool called IG Health Rate. And it helps an organization identify gaps that may exist in their information governance framework. So as you can see on the slide here, IGAM outlines 10 competency areas that include 79 maturity markers. These markers really enable identification of a level of maturity for an organization on a 1 to 5 scoring model. But to better illustrate how IGAM relates to areas of cybersecurity, I'm going to just focus on one maturity marker, and that's the maturity marker of business continuity. That does fall into the competency area of privacy and security. And most of us are well aware of the HIPAA privacy requirements that include controls around access to PHI, or personal health information, or protected health information, as well as the meaningful use security requirements as required by the HIPAA security rule. But cybersecurity issues require a more holistic view towards mitigating your risks across the entire infrastructure. So let's talk about business continuity, and within the IGAM model, it's really defined as the planning and related preparatory activities that are intended to ensure that an organization's critical business functions will either continue to operate despite a serious incident or disaster that might otherwise have interrupted them, and that the organization information will be recovered to an operational state within a reasonably short period of time. So Linda, as we know here in Florida with the recent Irma hurricane, business continuity applies to cybersecurity attacks as well as natural disasters.